Magnetic force. Magnetic force is a mechanical force of attraction or repulsion exerted by a magnetic field upon a magnetic material placed in it. It's a force that acts at a distance, so it doesn't require contact. And when we're representing this force on paper, we can draw field lines that show the intensity and the direction of the magnetic field by using arrows pointing from North Pole to South Pole and showing closer together lines to indicate a stronger magnetic field and further apart lines to indicate a weaker magnetic field. With magnets, unlike poles, attract. So north is attracted to south, or red to blue, depending on how the magnets have been labelled. And you can see in the diagram on the left, magnetic field lines have been drawn to illustrate the direction of the magnetic field from North Pole to South Pole. And in the diagram on the bottom on the right, we have the force of attraction between the North Pole wanting to move towards the South Pole and the South Pole moving towards the North Pole. Like poles repel, so north with north will try to push each other apart, and south to south would do the same thing. They try to push each other apart. This is called repulsion. And you can see on the field lines, they form a very different pattern. They do not want to travel from north to north, and they repel each other. The Earth, in fact, acts like a giant bar magnet, where the North Pole of the Earth is actually the South Pole of a giant bar magnet. That's how it acts. And you can tell that because the field lines are coming in with the arrows to the top of the Earth. So that must be the south acting pole of a giant bar magnet inside the Earth. We can make magnets, we can magnetize iron using another magnet, and you stroke the unmagnetized iron in a direction from north to south repeatedly. And what this does is align the magnetic domains inside the iron from a loose and random configuration into lined up configuration from north to south. Electromagnets are very useful. They're magnets that can be turned on and off using electric current. They have lots of different uses, like giant magnets that can be turned off and on to pick up scrap metal in the scrap metal yard. They can be used to turn on electric bells, and they can also be used in all these other ways listed here. When a current flows through a magnetic wire, a magnetic field is produced around the wire. This is called an electromagnetic field. And what you've made is an electromagnet. If you can wrap the wire into a coil, then the magnetic field will be stronger. And you can detect that field by putting a compass near it. When you pass the current through the wire, the needle turns on the compass, and the greater the current, the more the compass needle moves. This experiment was first carried out in 1819, and the discovery was made by accident, which is an interesting science way to find things out. If you coil a wire around a piece of iron, you can actually make something that acts just like a bar magnet. So you can see the field lines that have been drawn on this solenoid, and they act with a south pole and a north pole, and it looks very much like a bar magnet. It works well with iron because iron will magnetize and demagnetize quickly under the action of the electric current. Other metals like steel would not work so well because they tend to hold their magnetized nature for a little bit longer.